For the past 6 months, I've eaten steak and eggs pretty much every day. And I've got bigger, stronger, leaner, and faster. All whilst pretty much stopping my IBS symptoms and bloating. And in the past, I've done if it fits your macros, calorie counting, carnivore, bulking, cutting, etc, etc. But nothing has worked quite like this. Now, I pretty much eat the same thing every single day, and it's changed the game for me, not just physically, but also mentally. So today, I'm gonna show you what those keto meals look like. Now, I'm not saying this is what you should do. I'm saying this is what works best for me. There's a difference. Now, the reason I started doing this in the first place was because I had terrible IBS symptoms last year. I was getting a lot of bloating. I was actually feeling sick all the time. And I don't know, for people who've had IBS before, you get that sicky feeling in your mouth after you eat stuff. And I found this is the only real thing that's actually helped with my IBS symptoms over the past 6 months. After going to the doctors for months on months, having, what do you call it, poo samples, blood tests, urine tests, the works. For me, meal one starts here, 1 p.m. Yes, we are fasting as well. The reason why is I just feel way more productive from fasting in the morning. I train, I work, I run. I do the shit I need to get done early on the day before I've had anything to eat because it keeps me productive. And again, you don't need to do this, but it works for me. Now with this keto diet, we don't work out proteins, fats, carbs, calories. I kind of just eat what I need to within the means, just having high protein, high fats. I usually kick off with the biggest meal. So we're starting with about 270 grams of fillet beef steak, because it's the good stuff. And then we're having these eggs, 3 fried eggs. People always ask me as well, Ben, how do you get your yolks so orangey? Well, I'm gonna let you into a little secret. Clarence Core eggs. These eggs are the creme de la creme of the egg world. Free range eggs, yolks are super orangey, taste great. Just do my bit for the egg snob world. Steak I just pretty much pick up from wherever I can. Butchers, Sainsbury's, wherever. If you're a vegan, at this point you're here to intervene. Just leave now, because steak is the essence of life. And just like that, that is meal one done, steak and eggs. I should have had a Blue Peter moment where it was like, hey, here's one I did last time, but I didn't do that, and one of the eggs is just completely deep-poached. The only condiments I use is a salt and pepper, and when I say salt and pepper, I like to lather that shit in it. Also, the other thing that I will cook everything in is batter, or butter, if you're from the UK, layer pack. Just put that all over the steak. And I also bought some Christmas cheese from one of the markets in Cheshire. That is just a really nice cranberry cheese. One of the things I do is spend a little bit more on the foods I'm eating now, especially for keto. And for anyone who says steak and eggs takes a long time, like, no, it doesn't. It literally probably took me about 5 minutes just to sear the steak either side, fry some eggs, meal one, job done. We're not doing this today, but I'll pop the calories and the protein on screen because that's all I give a shit about, but I don't really track them, so I don't know what's in this meal. I don't care if you think Monster Devil, or if you think aspartame is gonna make your ear balls fall off. Even though you don't have ear balls, earlobes, same thing. Now meal number 2 is in this box, and this is my protein order has just come. So these are the goodies that I usually get for the month. So I might as well go through supplements as well. Creatine, monohydrate. I usually use a CreaPure. I find the CreaPure, if you've got a bit of a dodgy stomach, if you just wanna backlash it, get a bit of creatine in, I take 6 to 9 grams per day. It seems to sit better on the digestive system when I do CreaPure. A whey protein, even though I'm not using too much of it at the moment, it definitely does help. And then the one thing that we are using for the next meal is the My Protein brownies. Now these are all in German, but I think 23 grams of protein per one, which is great. And I am an absolute fiend. I love my cookies, my chocolate. The thing is, these are super convenient. I can put one in my pocket, I can put one down my pants, I can put one in my car, I can put one in my gym bag. And it's an easy go-to protein snack, especially if you're doing keto and you're out on the go. You don't want to be having to pick up carbohydrate-based products, which is going to offset the stomach a little bit. One of these in your bag, I find they sit very well in the stomach as opposed to a protein bar. However, what I did have to do with these was I had to put the full box, take it from the kitchen cupboard, and I have to leave all of this My Protein stuff in the garage. The reason why is I was just picking on them and eating them too often, and I didn't want to have too much because they do have probably the main source of carbohydrates in for the day. So what it does by me putting them in the garage is whenever we look at habit building or trying to break down bad habits, the one thing that we want to try and do is make the habit invisible and is put as many steps between you and the bad habit as possible. So if they're outside in the garage, if it's pissing down with rain, if it's wet, I've got to put my shoes on. It makes it a lot more difficult for me to do that. I'm not going to do it. Now I will superset this with a can of Monster and caffeine. I joked before about aspartame. You'd have to have about 10 of these per day to even hit your aspartame limit, so don't worry about it. There's no sugar in it, so it keeps calories and carbs to 0, pretty much. And I love caffeine. operate well on it. If you're not someone who does operate well on caffeine, don't have it. Next up, we have our 2 meals that are already made up. The first one being meal 3, which is gonna basically just be beef and avocado. 2 basic ingredients you'll need for this is just an avocado, obviously, and then just 5% beef mince. Usually use around 250, 300 grams of this one. Quickly in a frying pan, whip it up, chop the avocado up, bish bash bosh, and I'll just pop it in some Tupperware. It's ready for later. This used to be kind of the part of the day where I'd have a bro meal like chicken and rice, wolf it down really quickly, and then I'd start to feel tired and a crash from the spike of glycogen from carbohydrates, but not anymore. Now I have something like this. Quick, easy, high protein, keeps me full for a long period of time, stops me from snacking later on in the day. Again, only season that I use, salt, pepper, avocado gets chopped AF and just sprinkled on top. Basic rules for me are it needs to be quick, full of protein, and just sit on my stomach well. I don't give a shit what's optimal for fastest release of glycogen and the workout that I'm about to go into, because again, this is kind of a pre-run meal for shortly. And because of that, I don't like to have the crash before I go for a run. Earlier on today, did a bit of fighting, and now later on today, we've got a bit of running. Calories, protein, editor on screen, now. See, that's the other bit that influencers don't show you. Come back in and turn the camera off before you go for a run. And then just like that, we've got meal 4, and it's just, I'm not gonna show you how to prepare this one because unless you're just like a social invalid and can't even make a piece of toast, it's a basic chicken salad with mayonnaise, balsamic vinegar, chicken, and sometimes I'll add cheese to it as well. I like to have something a little bit lighter later on in the day. I don't like having something which is super like heavy on my stomach before I go to bed because I don't sleep as well. So a nice light salad, protein, lower fat. If you prefer something which is a little bit heavier later on in the day because you need to feel fulfilled before you go to bed, that's all gravy, baby. You can you can add whatever you want to it. You can mix it up, you can change it. You can add more fats in there, eggs, whatever you want to do. And yeah, I'll chow this down post-run, which is pretty easy. The one thing I get from the comments sometimes on the keto diet is, isn't it expensive? Like, how are you paying for all this meat? And yeah, the foods are a little bit more expensive, but I've now been sober for 82 days. I used to, on average, probably go out about every 2 weeks and spend at least £100, if not more. Quick maths, that's £50 per weekend. So I'm now saving £50 every weekend, which means I can buy bougie meat. I can buy the Clarence Court creme de la creme eggs, which work out roughly around 50p each, which is extortionate for an egg, but there we go. Which means, yeah, I've become a bit of a food snob, but instead of now throwing up cheap booze every Sunday morning, I now poop out grade A protein. Now, before we go into the final meal of the day, one other thing I always used to keep, I'll boil myself, but I've been lazy today, just some boiled eggs in the fridge. If I want to snack on them or I need to grab a bite to eat or I'm feeling particularly hungry, boiled eggs are my go-to. And I'm also drinking a lot of, is it S. Pellegrino? Again, you can probably buy one of the machines, which will save you money. But if you're switching over to keto, I find it just helpful to kind of bridge that gap, keep me a little bit full. I'll either have a couple of fizzy waters or I'll have some Diet Coke. Before bed, our snack is, I like to have something sweet. So I have some plain coconut Alpro, really good on my stomach. I find that for me, Greek yogurt and high dairy stuff doesn't sit well. So a coconut yogurt for me is fantastic. What I'll do is I'll put some frozen berries in a bowl, nuke it because I don't like to eat fruity ice. So that's quite nice and soft when it goes in. Mix it all together. Sometimes I'll use the vanilla soy, which you might see in the video. A little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of powdered PB, and off you go. Calories on screen for this one. Again, perfect before bed, something nice and sweet, satisfies me, keeps 100 cravings at bay, good protein, low carb, easy meal. I'm gonna let you into a little secret as well. On weekends, I cheat. Like if me and Lucy go out for a meal, I'll go for some sushi or have some Thai. And I don't really care too much about the meal being low carb. What I do care about though is it being non-processed, so just a good source of carbohydrates. And this is, I know what you're thinking, very non-keto of me, but it's like a spectrum, or more so I just don't give a shit. But on that spectrum and all, with those pigeonholes, I don't like to put myself in, I'm just keto. I'll try and keep a keto diet through the week. I'm not bothered about ketosis or anything like that. The reason I do this diet is because it helps my digestion and my performance has been quite good from it as well. If someone said to me, Ben, you have to do this diet for weight loss, I'd say, fuck you, mate. Because the sacrifice versus reward for me just wouldn't be good enough to say, well, I'm gonna do this diet for staying lean. I just couldn't stick to it. What you probably have noticed about my diet is, yes, there are no greens or fruits and veggies involved, and I still feel great. Still drop the kids off at school and they seem to go without any real resistance. However, I do take greens and a multivitamin. I take calcium tablets and also fish oils. They're all from My Protein. I'll leave a discount code below. You can save using code MyCoachBenji. With the diet, if you're trying keto, great. If it's not for you, don't worry. As long as you feel good, look better and perform well, your diet can be whatever you want it to be. You don't have to fit into a little box or a label that's applicable. You can choose a diet, you can amend it, you can be flexible with it and adapt it to make sure it fits your lifestyle, like you don't have to fit it. Or in other words, so you're not getting bent over and humped by it. If you have any questions to do with the keto diet and what I've been over today and the meals I have, please feel free to drop them below. Again, I don't claim this is to be the most optimal. I just find this is what's useful for me. This might not be useful for you. Try it, give it a go. Have questions, drop them below. Goodbye.